Alrighty, we are live. Well, hello, Dr. Michelle Byrne. What a pleasure to have you on our Paris and Baz cast. How are you today?
I'm really well. How are you?
Well, thank you. So just a bit of
Thanks so much for having me.
That's it. So welcome to another episode of Paris and Baz Cast. For those that view it on a regular basis, we come online every week between 3 and 4 p.m. Talking about topics that impact property management, sales and finance, the three services that we provide at Paris and Baz. And today we are honoured to have with us Dr. Michelle Byrne, who is the Mayor of the Shire Council, and here to discuss the impact of COVID-19 overall in terms of the local area, what sort of support we've got for local businesses as well as house owners. There you go. So excited to have you on.
No, thanks for having me. It's difficult times for everyone, isn't it, really? It's not easy trying to navigate COVID and the impact of COVID on businesses and the long-term impact as well. It's not just what we're going through today and tomorrow, but it's next year and the year after that. Obviously, council has been affected as well. Yep. Obviously, there was a number of services that we had to shut down. Things like libraries and community facilities and those sorts of things had to close under the public health orders. It's great to see that we're starting to open those services again. Yeah. So while we were impacted in terms of, our venues and our community events and those sorts of things, there was an area of council that kept going, and that was development assessment. So that side of council kept going. DAs kept coming in, planning proposals kept coming in. Our staff kept working around the clock trying to pump out those DAs. So that was still going on, as well as some of the projects that we're working on. So we thought, well, this is a great opportunity to get on top of some of those projects, building and construction and those sorts of things that creates for locals as well. So you will see out in Samantha Riley Drive that we've been busy out there, and with Waves Swimming Pool as well. So any of those major projects we could get on top of during the shutdown was beneficial to us. Obviously, in terms of our own staff, like all business owners, we had challenges with our staff. We didn't want to let anyone go or anything like that. We've been very fortunate in that we managed to find things for all our staff to do, so we didn't have to let go any of our staff, because obviously our staff are very important to us. They play an important role within the council and obviously in terms of our local economy as well. And you don't want people unemployed. It's a bad thing. And I know we're fortunate in that we've come out and we look like we'll be okay. I know that's not the same for a lot of small businesses and medium businesses in our community. I think that's one of the things that I'm very passionate about. I don't know council is as well, is looking after our businesses and making sure that they come back and making sure that they flourish for the obvious reasons. Great for our local economy. Yeah. We need businesses, we want businesses, but also good for employment, and our staff want jobs closer to home and all those sorts of things. And who wants to travel these days? So I get asked a lot, what is it that we're doing to support small business within our community? What is it that we can do and we will continue to do? Obviously, we understand the financial hardship in terms of rates and loans and those sorts of things. So council made the decision to allow business owners and obviously our residents as well to enter into payment plans for rates with no interest being charged. So obviously the interest on overdue rates is quite substantial, so we've waived that, and we've tried to make it easier for people to be able to pay back their rates at a time that suits them without us hassling them for the money. Rent payments to council, we've also said can be deferred for up to 6 months as well. So obviously council itself has a number of buildings that we lease out to businesses around the place too, and we didn't want to see those businesses go under or council be the reason that they were further suffering because of COVID. And obviously we want to keep the good relationships that we have with our businesses within our own buildings as well. And same with loan repayments. There are a couple of sporting groups around the place that have borrowed money from council and paying it back, and we've said, well, come on, you're in a position where you're closed, you can't actually generate an income to be able to pay your loan or your rate, so it's not fair for council to harass you for that money. So we've tried to make it easier from that perspective as well. We've also got a page on our website which is dedicated to businesses, and that has a lot of information about where people can go for help and assistance, all the links to the government opportunities and things like that too. We also have an economic development team led by Stephen Garrard, and our economic development team is a team of individuals who work every single day in this community with businesses. And not a lot of councils do this, but we do. And why is that?
Yeah, no, I wasn't aware. Okay.
Yeah, we have an economic development team. If you haven't met Stephen Garrard, you need to meet Stephen Garrard. He is awesome. Absolutely awesome. And that's his job. His job is to work with the businesses every single day, and that's exactly what he does. He does a lot of visits to businesses, which we were doing via Zoom and other technology because of the shutdown. So he will actually come and visit your business, and you can tell him what your business does, and then he can connect you to a whole heap of resources, and he's got a great big network. He's able to connect you into different things as well. He has a lot of data that he has access to that businesses don't necessarily have access to. So things like demographics and things about the area as well, in order to try and help businesses make good, sound decisions as well. So he can tell you everything about this community inside and out. He can tell you about the future of the community, what it's going to look like. Yeah. And he can also give you a lot of helpful advice in terms of, grant opportunities and things that you can do to try and grow your business and evolve your business. And he's fantastic. Council also runs Smart Series, which is a program of educational kind of lectures, that sort of stuff, educational seminars to really assist local businesses grow and evolve. So that's one of the things that we do with council. And if you haven't met Stephen, again, you should definitely give him a call and meet with him. Yeah. And I think that's really important to this council. And obviously we are looking and talking to a lot of businesses at the moment, and we're talking to them about what sort of support we can give them as we come out of COVID. And a lot of that will probably be around that advocacy piece, what we go and say to state and federal government, because I mean, it's awesome what the federal government's done and state government's done in terms of JobKeeper and JobSeeker, but what happens when that starts to disappear and you haven't got all those grant opportunities that governments are rolling out at the moment, then what happens to businesses? So it almost feels like, the government's a bit of a buffer and holding up our local economy. What happens when they start to take that stimulus away? So we're really interested in that piece and what it is that local government can do, because obviously council has a role in this as well. But what noise do we need to make to the other levels of government? And the other piece of that is how do we encourage our own community here in the hills to support our local businesses? So that's really important in terms of, is it a social media campaign? I'm not sure what that actually looks like yet, but we really want to encourage our residents to support our local businesses that are here in the hills as well. And from a council perspective, we want to do that as well. When we use various companies for construction, printing, all those sorts of things, we want to try and use local businesses within the hills too, because we want to support our local businesses, and we want to make sure that you survive and you're successful going into the future, because if you're successful, we're all successful. So we all win, our local businesses win. So it's very, very important to us. We do have a procurement process as well that businesses can put in tenders and that sort of thing to get work from council. So if you check out our website, you can find all that sort of information as well. And there's a lot of information about business support on our website, so I encourage you to really check it out and have a look at it as well.
Yeah, so that's definitely the key. So for anyone that is listening and wants to know more information about the different initiatives that Michelle's discussing, it is all on the website at Shire Council. And very, very, good to know that there is a lot of support. And definitely from a social media perspective, I'll be down to help her wherever I can. So do take my name for that, especially from supporting local businesses. One of the initiatives that we're looking at doing is through the similar way that we do our Paris Bazcast is to create another series where we go and introduce the different owners of within the local community and what they do and, what they're all about, and sort of promoting them and looking at those. So that's something that we feel as Norwestarians, if that's a word, to be able to give back and help out as much as we can, especially through social media, and connect those people, because as you said, local economy is the starting point which has a ripple effect on everything else. So that's really, really good. And in terms of, let's touch a little bit more about the DAs, because one of our listeners previously had asked the question about what happens during COVID. Is there any delays with the DAs, or it sounds like that you still got the same level of staff, so that shouldn't be a cause of concern?
Yeah, so we got the same level of staff. We didn't lose any of our planners. We could use more planners. In fact, they're hard to get, actually. Yeah. So usually get snapped up by the Department of Planning, unfortunately. But our planning team has been working as hard as they always have been. And it's the one area of council that was almost not affected by COVID at all. So DAs are still coming in. They're still being assessed. Planning proposals are still coming in. They're still being assessed. Probably a slightly lower volume than normal, but they're still coming in. So it hasn't been a complete stop, which was interesting to see. Has there been a slowing down in processing time? Well, it really depends on the DA, how complicated it is, and if it's relying on external agencies for input. So is it relying on a department of government, for example, and then it depends, or on specialists or whoever, then it depends on how quickly they're processing things from their end as well and how they've been impacted by COVID. But as quickly as we can, we're trying to push out DAs and planning proposals. Again, because it's great for the community. It's great for jobs. It's great for the construction industry, which we obviously need to try and reboot the economy in New South Wales. It's great for mums and dads who are trying to get their DAs in through their houses and those sorts of things. But yes, that's still happening. Obviously, the government's changed a little now, so DAs from yesterday to submit a DA doesn't come directly to council now. It goes on an online portal, government portal, which is hopefully going to speed up DA times, because if it's on the government portal, then agencies can access it directly, and hopefully that's the whole plan. So hopefully Minister Stokes is right. It should speed up the DA processing system, which I think is good news for anyone who's got a DA up there or a planning proposal, because it is it's a difficult system to navigate. It's not easy at all. I take my hat off to anyone who's putting a DA in or a planning proposal, but as quickly as we can, we're trying to get through them and making sure, obviously, that we get good quality outcomes as well, because nobody wants a pile of crap built or any dodgy built. We want good quality product in the hills, and that's what we're seeing. So it's still happening. Probably not as fast as some people would like, but the DAs are still coming in, still going out, and that will continue to happen, especially in the hills being growth area as well. You look at areas like Box Hill and North Kellyville and around the train stations, you can see that it's transforming quite quickly. But there's a lot of work to do in that space, but it is happening.
Is all happening. So must be helping the exhibition time frame as well, if it is available on a public portal. Is that the intention of that being there for the exhibition?
Well, it does help. It does help. So any DA that comes through council anyway goes on our website, so anyone can access it and can track it. This new government portal system can be tracked as well, so people can track and see where it is up to and those sorts of things. That will help with the exhibition, but hopefully it will help with speeding up the actual assessment period, because if external agencies like environmental heritage and partner planning can access the portal and can see the DA straight away, hopefully, and they can feed their submissions and their information, the comments straight into the system, hopefully it'll make it faster in the long term in terms of assessing those DAs. But it's all happening. Things are still moving, still got lots of sales in the hills and those sorts of things. New residents are moving in all the time. So despite COVID, things are still moving and still happening.
Yeah. What are some of the exciting things that you can announce that have been recently approved off the top of your head? Is there one of the ones that I heard recently was Balfour's new development on Solon Circuit next to Haven. So
so that's going through the fast track process at the moment. It's exciting what's coming to the hills. I mean, the metro brings changes, but it brings opportunity. And a lot of the development that's going on, I think for some people it scares the heck out of them, because it's a huge change for the hills. The hills was very rural once, and you had your single lot, your two-story houses. All of a sudden you got this high density coming in around the train stations, which can be a bit scary for some people because it's a huge shift. But at the same time, it's creating a different type of lifestyle right here in the hills that we don't have already. And when you look at some of these high-rise developments, and when they're done well, it's actually a really great lifestyle that they're offering, with all the amenities and the facilities and the gyms and the outdoor pools. And the Esplanade apparently has, putt-putt golf and,
it's beautiful.
Outdoor movies and all this sort of stuff. It's like, it's actually really exciting to see, the opportunity to live close to the metro within a great community like the hills, and to have that quality of lifestyle is awesome. And I think there is a shift in the way people view high-rise living as well. Once upon a time, it was seen as, inferior to having a large lot And now it's not. It's like, hang on a second, this is actually a really great lifestyle. I don't have to mow the lawns.
Yeah.
And it's really good for our retirees. You know, they're downsizing. They don't want to leave the hills because their family still lives here and they're part of this community. They have a real connection, and it's really attracting our retirees, which is great because then it frees up the larger lot housing for, you know, young families who might not necessarily want an apartment. Doesn't suit their needs, and they need that backyard to run their kids around and things like that. But there is a lot of, you know, good quality development that's now coming in, and it's well designed. It's very modern. It's not, you know, just a concrete rectangle tower or anything like that. So there's a lot of opportunity that's coming our way. Tim Spencer he's a visionary, bit of a scary visionary at times, and I've told him that, so it's all right to say that. But yeah, he's always thinking. I have a lot of time for Tim. We don't always agree. His vision is a bit different to my vision, but he's always thinking about the future and the quality of lifestyle that you can create within the hills. So it's exciting. And obviously we're going to get better and improved infrastructure as a result of the growth that's coming as well. You know, we're about to spend $55 million on a swimming pool and those sorts of things. You're going to see upgrades in the roads. You're going to see more sporting fields, more open space, you know, more things to do right here in the hills, and more employment as well. Yeah. So if we look at the business park, it's growing. You got the metro. More businesses are now wanting to set up here in the hills, which is fantastic, which means more jobs, and everyone's happy. You can live in the hills, work in the hills, go to school in the hills, hopefully soon go to university in the hills.
Yes, so that's on the cards. Again, Tim has like that as well. So that's really...
He has, just like I'm really excited about. So it's almost cradle to the grave, which is probably not the greatest expression on earth, but you can be born here, do everything here, die right here, and never have to leave. So it's kind of like my Michelle Byrne utopian world, that you get to a point where there's no reason to leave the hills. You can do literally everything here without ever leaving. So it's exciting times.
It is. Look, definitely from the on ground, you know, feedback that we are getting from our buyers and sellers and those that are wanting to move in the area, especially renters as well, as you were mentioning the Esplanade. So we've got a couple of properties we're managing for our landlords there, and it's really exciting to see that sort of level of interest because of the location, how central everything is, and the amenities that it's got. It's a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you want to live here? So it's very exciting to see what's coming up, and it's great to see that COVID hasn't really impacted from an operations point of view, because obviously we've seen a lot of other impacts otherwise. But the fact that business is still as much as usual as it can be. And especially with the new developments coming up, so that's really exciting. So in terms of the some of the changes that have happened with local businesses, like I know that for the foodies, there's been a lot of flexibility now, which is great. But they're still obviously doing the right thing, recording everyone that is sitting in and dining in their complexes. Are you aware of the next sort of set of relaxing of these policies or restrictions, or is there anything else that is on the cards that's going to sort of further fast track things being back to normal again?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's probably a question better asked to the Premier, because obviously we don't control those sorts of things. Although I'd love to control state government some days. Yeah, it would be great. But I think a lot of our businesses have shown how resilient they are and how adaptive they actually are, and they've had to rethink their businesses during this period. A lot of our restaurants have gone to takeaway. You've seen the food trucks around the place. You've seen an increase in home delivery and those sorts of services as well. So they've really tried to be adaptive and to think about how they can try and continue their businesses during the COVID period. And it's great that we're now starting to see the relaxation of the restrictions. It's great that they can get more people in their restaurants and in their cafes and things like that. But they obviously still need a lot of support from the community as well. And I always encourage people, go buy your coffee from anywhere, go buy your lunch, do whatever you can to support our local businesses. I think they will get there, but I think they need a lot of support from us and support from the council as well, to realise that we're all here for them. We're going to do whatever we can to try and assist them come back, because the last thing you want to see is businesses that have gone down through COVID not reappearing. That'd be very, very sad. So whatever support we can give to them as a government level, absolutely will do, and at a community level as well.
Is there is there a helpline or anyone that they can speak to, or do they just call the council to just sort of discuss their individual needs and how council can help?
yeah, you can check out our website, and that has a lot of numbers as well. It has council's numbers straight to Stephen Garrard and the economic development team. They're very good. They're across the public health orders and those sorts of things. Yeah. And obviously on there is a lot of links to government support lines as well.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there any final words?
Thanks so much for having me. It's been fun.
Oh, perfect. All right, we'll catch you next time. And yeah, if anyone else has any questions that we haven't been able to answer, do feel free to type that through. More than happy to come back to you from it afterwards as well. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.